How you doing? It's the Butcher here, and today I wanted to make a video on my 5 favorite uniques that I've used in Destiny 2 so far. So if you've been following along a little, I've recently gotten very much back into Destiny 2 as another game to play while Diablo 4 is kind of going through some things, some of the other games I like. But I've acquired, let me see actually exactly, just about half of the uniques. To be honest, I haven't even used every single one I've acquired, but I played around with a lot of them, and I want to come up with the video on my 5 favorite exotic weapons that I've used so far. So the way I'm going to be doing this list is basically, it's not going to be the best or anything like that. That's part of it, but it's going to be a mix between how they perform for me, how cool, honestly, they are, and how much fun they are to use. So that's basically the criteria I have right now. And I'm going to be ranking my top 5. I do want to give a couple honorable mentions before I start, and they're actually going to be right here. It's actually going to be Thorn and Witherhoard don't make the list. Witherhoard very well might have made the list. I'm still working on the Catalyst. I have about 200 of the 300 points needed to unlock the Catalyst. I already did all the Guardian kills, which was brutal. And then Thorn is a really fun and solid weapon. It's just, I don't think it performs enough for me. It does look really cool and stuff like that, but I don't think it performs enough for me to crack into the top 5. But without further ado, the first weapon, or no, the fifth weapon, my 5th favorite weapon, is the Ace of Spades. This thing is pretty awesome, and Cayde 6 was actually a favorite of mine when I used to play Destiny 2 when it first came out, so using this weapon is pretty cool. It performs really well. It's actually become kind of my go-to for PvP too, even though I don't play a ton. But it's just like your solid, like all-around hand cannon. It feels really good. It feels snappy. And then the exotic perk is after you get a kill with it, you reload the mag, you get 6 shots that do increased damage. And then the catalyst, which I actually have unlocked for it, is basically it does more damage, which is really nice. And it's just a really solid all-around weapon. And you also, which is another reason why I really like it for PvP, is you get radar while ADSing. So that's super nice to have for PvP. And like I said, it's just kind of your all-around, like, just feels good for any content, any situation, hand cannon. And that's pretty much all I can say for it. And it's a cool weapon, it's fun to use, and it just feels really good. So now at the number 4 slot, we actually have an energy weapon. And it's actually going to be the Polaris Lance. So this was actually the first weapon I acquired or bought from the kiosk. And some of this is going to have to do with the seasonal artifacts. I'm coming in the season of the Wish, so solar weapons are really good. But this thing is pretty awesome. It's a scout rifle. You can see here the exotic trait is the perfect 5th, so precision hits return ammo to the mag, and then landing 4 hits loads a delayed solar explosion round for your next shot. So you're able to get a ton of Scorch, a ton of Ignitions, and then with the Catalyst right here, it doesn't actually say, but it basically just increases the amount of Scorch and elemental damage you're doing. So this is, again, another really solid, just all-around weapon. I've used it for a long time. You can probably see that's definitely not right. But it's a really fun weapon. I've had a really good time with it. It's just, again, very solid. The amount of ignitions you're able to get, especially when firing into a big group, is pretty crazy. It does, however, fall short of another solo weapon that I've used this season. But it is very good, and I still find myself coming back to it sometimes to use, even though, like I said, it was literally like the first exotic I purchased from the kiosk. So now coming in at number 3. And I'm actually going to back out to my character because I want to show it off with the ornament I have for it, which I believe I got from an Eververse, but it's going to be the tractor cannon. So one, I was able to get this badass ornament. Like I said, I believe it's from one of those Eververse engrams, whatever it's called. I'm not exactly sure, but this thing's more of a utility weapon, but I absolutely cannot live without it. It basically just puts this massive debuff. I'm not exactly sure the number, but I believe the debuff, I don't know, I do like triple to quadruple the amount of damage while the debuff is active. So for any mini bosses, any champions, any bosses, this thing is so good. I love running it with my Strand Titan. It's so much fun to hit an enemy with it, switch over to my 1-2 shot shotgun, do that, and then melee and just do huge damage. The catalyst for it I've unlocked, it just gives you 7 shots instead of 4, so it is actually kind of nice because you pretty much never have to reload it. But again, it's a really cool weapon. Even the base version of it also looks really cool. If I take this or preview it, it just looks cool the way your guy holds it and everything. And it's just a really, really fun weapon to use. It's really good. The gameplay loop you can run with it is super fun as well too. And I'm a huge fan of it. I've had a ton of fun using it, and it performs super well, especially with Strand Titan, which is one of my favorite builds that I've used so far, which I will be making a video on my favorite builds so far in Destiny 2 as well too. So now we move up to the second slot, and that is actually going to be another power weapon, and that is going to be the Dragon's Breath. So this is actually the exotic for this season. I was able to get it pretty much right away. This was actually the first exotic that I got, not the first. This is not the first one I purchased. But this thing is pretty amazing. It's great for both ad clear and single target DPS. Basically what happens is you shoot the rocket, it does some damage, but it ejects fuel over time. It does a ton of scorch and ignition, burning damage, all that kind of stuff. And basically when you get the catalyst, which I was able to get for this one, I believe you get it in like the battle pass or something, but it basically just does more damage. It just, like it says, it replenishes fuel faster. And then also creates fire spikes, which is super nice when I'm running a solar build. I'm able to run around and pick those up. It resets the, well, depending on how you have it set up, I was using it to reset the cooldown of my grenade, which is nice. But it's very versatile. It, like I said, it works great in ad clear because the fuel basically spits out and just tanks all the enemies around it. And then it's great for bosses too. It'll like continually like spit out into the boss and also spit out around it, so it'll take out all the ads around the boss. And it's a ton of fun to use. You also get 9 shots with it when you have it at max ammo, which is really nice. And I really like Dragon's Breath. I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's just a great all-around weapon to pretty much slap on any PvE solar class that I've used, and it just performs every single time. But now we have our number 1 slot, and that is actually going to go to Sunshot right here. So Sunshot, I actually don't have the catalyst for, even though I've done a billion freaking strikes since I've got it. I can't get it to drop, but I've absolutely loved using this weapon. It's awesome. It looks cool. It is amazing this season because of all the radiant buffs and all the solar buffs from my seasonal artifact. And basically what it does, like it says down there, fires explosive rounds. It highlights targets, which isn't that important. The main thing is it fires explosive rounds. And I believe the catalyst makes it do even more scorch and ignitions when it spreads to targets. So it just makes it way better than it even already is. But it's already super fun to use. It's already super good. Like I said, it applies a ton of scorch and ignitions, and that spreads. It's got a pretty good fire rate on it, 150 rounds per minute. It looks awesome. It feels great to use. The only thing I will say is when you're trying to shoot targets at distance, which it isn't really made for, it's like a 41 range, it does get a little bit tough, especially if you're trying to shoot it really fast because you will lose a reticle. But besides that, the whole animation of this piece right here lighting up as you kind of use it more and get kills and stuff is cool. It looks awesome. It performs absolutely amazing, specifically for any type of ad clear, and then you can just slap on like a rocket launcher for boss CPS. But it's amazing. Solar builds have primarily been my favorite so far for most classes. Obviously I mentioned the Strand Titan, but solar builds have been really good. I get that's because of the artifact and I'm buffing them this season, but I've enjoyed using this weapon a ton, and as of right now, this is my favorite exotic that I've used. So let me know what's your favorite exotics. You know, it could date back. What exotics do I have to get my hands on? I've been trying to get Conditional Finality, by the way. I've been doing that raid the 3 times I can per week. I can't get it to drop, unfortunately. But that's my list. I would love to hear from you guys. What's your favorite exotic weapons that you've used? What one should I try out? Any tips to get the catalyst for this would be much appreciated. But that's going to do it for the video. I'm actually recording this on April the 2nd. So for you people that watch my Diablo content, the PTR will be coming out later today. So that's very exciting. But I will continue with the Destiny content as well, too. I'm enjoying both games at the moment. And like I said, these exotic weapons have really made Destiny a ton of fun for me so far. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, throwing a subscribe if you like my content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.